Hello folks and welcome to round number 4 of the Nemesis Online Racing League Historic F1 Championship here at the wonderful Silverstone in the United Kingdom, and I'm very much looking forward to this race tonight. And as we can see, we have some aggressive car choices already. Of the 2004 Ferrari on screen with Nemesis Racing. We have Lord George in the 2004 Ferrari, who is looking very quick at the moment. And just after these qualifying laps are done, I will change the sounds. Don't worry, I know I can barely hear it as well. As we'll now go on board with Lord George through Maggots, through Beckett's, and now through Chapel as he comes down on to the Hangar Straight. He's currently still in first position ahead of Testmeister, is Lord George. And now into Stowe. You've got to really chuck it in there, carry as much speed and try and use as much of that exit curve as possible. And now coming into the last couple of corners through the chicane, he runs a little bit wide, and that's going to cost him a significant amount of time. And indeed, that's going to cost Lord George a lot of time and put him in third place as Callum J. Spencer shockingly takes pole with a 129.3 in the 2003 Williams. But now I will just quickly change the settings for the audio so you guys can hear it a bit better. Let me know if that is better. Better now. But after our first qualifying session here at Silverstone, it is Callum J. Spencer who takes pole with about 4/10 of a second ahead of Testmeister in 2004 Ferrari. Lord George third, 5/10 off Callum J. Spencer. Sonic in fourth, Dougie Afferman in fifth, the G-Man in sixth, Nemesis Racing in seventh, Murcielago in eighth, Kevin Jacobs in ninth, 10th is Destes, 11th is Galactic Skull, and 12th is Ricardo F1, the championship leader, who has selected the rubbish car, well, I say the rubbish car, the 1998 McLaren, to just get that out of the way. But we are just now loading into the lobby to get underway. But now we are ready to get underway. 5 lights and the lights out, and away we go. And Testmeister has a drive-through penalty for a jump start. Oh dearie me! But we can't see too much as there's been some chaos back behind. One car has barely got underway as everyone's going wide. Oh, everyone's going off track there. I don't know exactly who is going off track because there is a lot of Ferraris as per usual, but it looks like the 3 Ferraris behind have all just gone flying off the track at turn 1, and there's some more action as Testmeister has been spun around there. So not what you want for Testmeister. There is lots of action going on, that is for sure. And somehow Dougie Afferman in the 2008 bloody McLaren has found himself up in P3. And we've got more yellow flags behind. And that's Murcielago stopped just out of Luffield, I think that is. Now out of Woodcote, yeah, through Luffield, sorry. Drivers absolutely everywhere. Is now Lord George around the outside of Maggots. That's a terrific move, that is. Really struggling to get the car pulled up for Chapel though. But now he's in the slipstream of that 2009 Brawn and absolutely flies past. Not even a challenge for Lord George, who moves himself up into P2 ahead of behind Callum J. Spencer. But further behind we have the G-Man making his move on Death Stairs. Good move indeed, and of course you'd expect him to make that move as he has the superior car. But quite a chaotic start off the line and then through turn 1. But it's kind of calmed down a little bit after that. But Sonic very, very close to Lord George through those corners, but down the straight. The power of the Ferrari engine is, which has been the line that I've been using a lot through this championship, as G-Man has spun around. He was closing up to the back of Ricciardo F1. So I wonder what's going on there. Oh, dearie me, as he's struggling to keep the rear end in check of that 2004 Ferrari. Through Copse corner goes Sonic. Wonderful, terrific corner here at Silverstone. Through Maggots. Through Beckett's. What a terrific camera shot that is. So we've got yellow flags somewhere in the second sector. Oh dear, it's Nemesis Racing. He's lost it. Through Maggots and Beckett's. Has Nemesis. Not entirely sure how you can lose it there. He might have got on the grass. I think that might be one of the ways he's lost it. But he's got Ricciardo behind him. But the engine deficit between those two cars is just too much. And you can see how much Ricciardo is struggling through that corner. The McLaren just has no front end grip and is very, very heavy through the corners. Though it certainly does feel a lot better than what it did on the previous game. Oh, he's losing the rear end, absolutely a treat there. Through the last corner, but Lord George is closing into Callum J. Spencer here at the front. The gap is 0.7 of a second. I'm sure we're going to see some action in the coming laps from the way it's looking. Of course, I'll read out the championship standings. Just in the break between the first and second race. Didn't quite have time before the start of the race. What a lovely camera shot through Copse corner. Of course, the old turn 1. But Lord George really looking to put Callum J. Spencer under pressure now. Hasn't been able to gain too much on this lap, but there's still a good couple amount of corners left. Of course, through Stowe, Vale and the club corner. Going into Vale, sorry, the club corner now. He has managed to close the gap. It is about half a second. And even though that 2003 Williams is very quick in a straight line, the 2004 Ferrari is just about the same in terms of top end speed. As you can see, Lord George really gaining on Callum J. Spencer through those corners. He won't be close enough coming down the Wellington Straight to be able to make a move into Brooklands. As we can see, just too far back there to make a move into Brooklands. And now through Luffield. Wonderful corner. Wonderful corner. Of course, we go past the old pits where the races were once started. But of course they moved to the exit of Club Corner and entry of Abbey. That is where now the pits are, where the race gets underway. Lord George with a good run through the corners, but just not a good exit enough coming out of Chapel into Stowe Corner. Well, he's really taken out a lot better than Callum J. Spencer there. He's closed up by a couple of tenths through that corner. Really closing up through Club Corner. G-Man has a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Oh, as Galactic Skull has just moved ahead of him. Somehow, I don't think that will be for long. Oh, good to see Galactic running a very similar helmet design that I run. Very Mark Webber-esque there, run by Galactic Skull. But of course, that is for Iron Brew. I'm not running my helmet design for Iron Brew, I'm running mine for Mark Webber. But nonetheless, a good helmet design. As of course, Iron Brew is fantastic. As I've just read the chat now of Gaming Now saying twitching more than my ass after a curry. That's him describing the 1998 McLaren. So certainly a colourful way to describe how the car is handling, as I'm sure your ass is after a curry. Banter. But we have the G-Man closing up to Galactic Skull for 9th place. And I'm sure he just has to get out of Galactic's. Yep, there we go. Just get out the way of Galactic and move himself up, as it looks like Testameister is also done behind Murcielago. Oh, and we've seen some more grass being kicked up. Oh yes, Spore Grass being kicked up by Galactic Skull, and he has gone spinning off nearly into the helicopter there at the start of the hangar straight. I was just complimenting about his helmet, but certainly no compliments after that. But Death says he's closing, or is getting closer to Ricardo F1 for 7th place. Of course, Ricardo, our championship leader, and he's doing very well in a car which is about 5 seconds slower a lap than, say, the car behind of Testameister in 2004 Ferrari. He's doing very well to hold on to P7, but you can see that Testameister is already under 3 seconds behind these two now. Just shows you the ridiculous pace that 2004 Ferrari has, and what a special car it is. As we just have Calm sets fast lap the race, is now extending his gap to Lord George, just about second, but we can see how quickly Testmeister has closed in on that gap to the G-Man. So to Death Says and Ricardo F1 is now Testo will fly past Death Says, but won't be able to get past Ricardo before Stowe Corner. You have to do it through Vale, and on the run down into Club Corner around the outside he is looking to make the move. Ricardo defends deep, but Testameister with the switchback, he's got that move done on Ricardo, runs very wide on exit, almost IndyCar style at Coda today from what I've seen, but moves himself up into P7 nonetheless, ahead of Ricardo and Destes. It'll be interesting to see what Testameister can do and see if he can potentially catch any cars ahead. Although he is 15 seconds, I've just noticed, behind Kevin Jacobs, who's also in the 2004 Ferrari. So I think Testameister might be having a bit of a lonely race now, as Lord George sets fast lap of the race, and wow, he's now about half a second behind Callum J. Spencer. He really needs to close up through these corners. The best place he's going to make a move are into Luffield. Sorry, not into Luffield, into Brooklands and Stowe Corner. But he doesn't have a good exit there. That just allows Callum J. Spencer to streak away again. Well, I say streak away, by a couple of tenths, build the gap. Callum J. Spencer is certainly doing a very good job in that Williams. Oh, Lord George very aggressive on the curbs through Copse Corner. But didn't cost him too much time. As we can see, just struggling with a bit of understeer there in Chapel. As the G-Man has moved himself up into 9th place. Oh, has he? There's been a bit of a gluing there between Death Stairs and the G-Man as they're running each other off track. What is going on there between those two? I think there was definitely some lag, but it looked like there was some contact. Nonetheless, I do expect G-Man to be finding himself in 8th place very, very shortly. On the run down now to Copse Corner. And look at the pace that he has. But he's managed to... Oh, he's gone off the circuit, having too much closing speed on Ricardo F1. That was very, very close to having a major incident right there, but G-Man, to his credit, did well to avoid. And it looks like Murcielago, I've gone the wrong way, Murcielago in the 2003 Williams has made a clinical move on Death Stairs. But we'll go down to the G-Man once again, all over the back of Ricardo, and surely coming out of Abbey and going into Village, he's going to get the move done. Oh no, he runs very, very wide, and that compromises his run he could have potentially had into Village. Now through the loop, as we should be seeing the G-Man just fly past Ricardo. No, what on earth is going on there? Why isn't he flying past? What's going on? Now through Luffield. Surely on the exit of Luffield he's going to absolutely fly past. No, it's almost like he's really struggling with the rear end and he just isn't able to get that power down. But now trying to go around the outside of Copse Corner, but he's got the move done already before the corner even begins. As that engine just says, yeah mate, I'll get you past. As now Murcielago moves up into P9 as well, past Ricardo. Which moves Ricardo into P10, and P10 would still be a very good result in that car. He stayed out of trouble whilst there was chaos going on in front of him and behind him. And that is certainly going to be a good point to finish for Ricardo F1, as the G-Man should perhaps stay on circuit. That would be good. But it looks like there is some lag here with Murcielago. Lovely helmet design, I must say. I am a fan. So I'm trying to get a good camera view, but it's just seemingly not wanting to give me the best one, as I'm not a fan of that camera view. Oh, and what on earth has gone through on there? Murcielago seemingly lagging through the G-Man, and now lagging back behind the G-Man in this battle for 8th place, and he's lagged ahead again, and I'm just waiting for him to lag behind again, and there you go, the G-Man has just lagged himself alongside. On the run down into Copse Corner, are they side by side? I'm not entirely sure. I should have probably been in the trackside cam. But it looks like Murcielago slowing down here. Has he disconnected from the session and nothing popped up on the bottom? Oh no, now he's ahead of the G-Man again, as Ricardo was all over the back of him. I'm not even going to commentate on this because this is absolute AIDS, as I think it is the best way to describe it. Oh, we've got Testameister looking to make the move on Kevin Jacobs. I wonder what's happened to Kevin, because Kevin was a mile ahead, but now Testameister is all over the back of him. Indeed, I think Kevin has made a mistake, and in that 2002 Ferrari, he's just not going to have the pace of that 2004 Ferrari. And Testameister, who was 11th a couple of laps ago, has now moved himself up into P6, which will be a good result after he did indeed have a drive-through penalty, I remember, after he jumped the start. I think that was Testameister. We'll go back to the battle for first place, and it looks like Lord George is currently losing out to Callum J. Spencer, who's he looks like he's going to take an important victory here over Ricardo F. Flood in the championship battle. But of course Ricardo F1 has used his sort of bogey car in this race. Callum J. Spencer's used the very fast 2003 Williams. As we have some yellow flags here in Sector 3. Oh, as Ricardo has made a dive bomb there, or not, well, I wouldn't even say a dive bomb, a very nice move on the G-Man. Wonder what's happening to him. Odd. Very odd. I don't know. Well, what a lovely view of the exhaust of the 2003 Williams here on board with Murcielago. But Callum J. Spencer has now started the final lap of the Grand Prix, as he's now heading on to the Wellington Straight for the final time. It looks like he has this all tied up over Lord George. And I don't know if he will take the championship lead here. With this result, of course, Ricardo will now get an extra point for finishing 9th. This Testameister sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix, and it looks like that is Galactic Skull that we can see ahead of Callum J. Spencer, who he is coming up to lap. Don't think he will quite be able to lap him. Now down the hangar straight, coming into Stowe. Now he just has club corner to negotiate. Does Callum J. Spencer. The McLaren gets out of the way, and that is going to be Callum J. Spencer who wins race number 1 here at Silverstone. A fantastic display over Lord George, who was putting him under pressure in the earlier stages of the race. But that's a fantastic performance by Callum J. Spencer against the OP 2004 Ferrari. We have Sonic in the 2009 Braun GP finishing 3rd. Then we have Dougie Aframan, that is a fantastic result by Dougie Aframan in the 2008 McLaren. Wow. Okay, that is a fantastic result. Fantastic drive by Dougie Aframan in that car. And then behind we have Nemesis in the 2002 Ferrari. And then Testameister behind in the 2004 Ferrari finishes P6. Kevin Jacobs in P7, also in the 2002 Ferrari. And then we have, I don't even know what's going on between these guys behind, but we have the G-Man running very wide. That's allowed Ricardo F1 to get past, who's got a 3-second time penalty, but I know for a fact that the G-Man certainly does have also 3-second time penalties. Oh, and it looks like he's just, oh dearie me! Oh dearie me! The G-Man just glued onto the back of Murcielago, and instead of, not Murcielago, Ricardo F1, instead of letting off the throttle, he just allowed, and he just kept on going and spun around Ricardo F1. As Murcielago, out of pure and utter frustration, just smashes directly into the wall, and oh dear, that's an interesting finish to this race. Ricciardo finishes 8th, as he rightfully should have, ahead of the G-Man and Murcielago. I think Murcielago might have made a mistake on that last lap, and he finishes in P9. That was chaotic, as Ricciardo was spun by the G-Man. Murcielago had nowhere to go and just collected Ricciardo F1, but it's Callum J. Spencer who takes victory here in race 1 here at the lovely Silverstone circuit. Ahead of Callum J. Spencer and ahead of Sonic, I believe it was. And Gaming Now in the chat, perfectly describing what I was thinking through that sequence of incidences. But we have, yes, of course, Callum J. Spencer taking victory, Lord Jordan 2nd, Sonic in 3rd. And what on earth just happened to me? I completely malfunctioned. Dougie from the head in 4th, Nemesis in 5th, Testameister in 6th, Kevin Jacobs in 7th, Ricciardo F1 in 8th, the G-Man in 9th, Murcielago in 10th, Death Says in 11th, and Callum J. Spencer, not Callum J. Spencer, Galactic Skull in 12th. I'm so used to saying Callum J. Spencer. Oh dear. Kevin Jacobs in the chat saying I have to check my calibration because Nemesis blew by me like I was sitting still, and of course they were in the same car, so that is odd indeed. But now we will get ourselves prepared for some random weather, and indeed I do hope there is some random weather, because we've seen too many dry races which haven't been overly exciting as of recent. So I hope that we get some random, very random rain. Oh yes, I said I was going to read out the championship standings, wasn't I? Yes, indeed. Right, I'm just loading it up from the Twitter now. Of course, the Twitter of the league is at Nemesis OR League. Go and give the Twitter a follow. But it is Ricciardo F1 leading the championship by 13 points over Callum J. Spencer. So you would think that Callum J. Spencer will take the lead of the championship after this race, unless Ricciardo gets a crazy result. We have Danny Bin Lahar in 3rd place on 48 points, 20 points off the championship lead, but of course is not racing tonight, so he's going to lose further ground in the championship. We have Dougie Afroman on 45 points in 4th place, Death Stez on 38 points, and Altanovic on 33 points, who I don't think is racing tonight. No indeed, but I will be commentating on one of his races tomorrow night, or tomorrow morning to me, of course. We have Lord Jord in 7th on 29 points, but a very strong 2nd place certainly won't hurt his championship, his place in the championship standings. We have Nemesis in 8th place on 28 points, Galactic Skull on 10 points, Ragno on 8 points, who I thought was going to be a serious contender in this championship, but it's just not turned out to be that way. I think I have made a mistake here, actually. I have. It's Galactic Skull on 13 points, Ragno on 10 points, Testameister on 8 points, Sonic on 6 points, Murcielago on 5 points, and Kevin Jacobs on 3 points. Wowee, I need to wake up. I'm good, Toby. How are you doing, mate? I'm sure you're pretty happy with 4 points in that McLaren. That's a pretty good result. But yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Just looking forward to this weekend, really. I got uni later on today, but of course later this weekend Chaz and I are doing the race watch along, or the practice and qualifying watch along. So I won't be doing the race watch along, sadly, because, well, Liverpool are on at the same time as the race, so yeah. Kevin's saying, can't wait to get my GT Omega gaming rig to get it here and set up. Indeed, that will be very awesome for you. I wish I could get a wheel, but I just don't have the room in my room. Toby saying that was an absolute workout. I'm sure it was. That car isn't exactly the nicest to drive. I don't know why we aren't getting underway here. Nemesis is readied up, so we just need a couple other drivers to ready up, including one of them in chat. That would be good. Kevin, ready up. So we can get underway. Thank you for listening, my good friend. And of course, he's saying he's getting Fanatec CSL F1 wheel and pedals. That's very awesome indeed. I hope that improves your pace, because you are a good driver, and it'll be good to see more drivers challenging at the front of the field. As we are now all readied up, and we are loading in to the second qualifying session. As I've of course mentioned numerous times now, dynamic weather. Kevin in the chat saying, I'm hoping I can't practice all summer so I can race for wins and keep up with you, Nib. My plan is to be keeping up with you. Well, I hope to have some more competition, let's put it that way, on the F1 2019 game. Who knows, all things could change. You could see in 2017 I was dead slow and didn't even get a podium. And then on 2018 I won 10 races and got more podiums than that. So who knows, stranger things have happened, that is for sure. As we do say, as we're just waiting to get underway here. Sadly, Toby didn't we don't know how Gaming Now is going, but I'm sure he'll be pretty happy after that result. But we will watch this lap on board with Callum J. Spencer through Abbey as he runs a little bit wide there, but doesn't compromise himself too much as he now comes through the loop and now is propelling himself on to the Wellington Straight. Looks like Testameister in that 2004 Ferrari is very quick at the moment, but now through Brooklands and leading into Luffield, a brilliant sequence of corners with a very tricky exit. You want to be getting that power down as early as possible. It is very, very easy to put the power down too early and go into the gravel, as now through Copse Corner, one of the most beautiful corners on the planet, as Callum J. Spencer now heads down towards Beckett's, and then very soon he's going to be going through Chapel, but takes a little bit too much speed, and that compromises his run through these corners down onto the Hangar Straight, as we've got Testameister and Lord George ahead of him, both in the 2004 Ferraris. But now through Stowe comes Callum J. Spencer, now coming into Vale, taking a lot of speed as Callum J. Spencer. He's currently on pole, provisional pole, but through Club Corner and the exit of the Vale, he just loses it, and it's going to be Testameister who takes pole position here at Silverstone at 300ths ahead of Lord George, and about 10th and a half ahead of Callum J. Spencer. And then we have Sonic 1.3 seconds behind as we have the G-Man disqualified for going the wrong way. Interesting stuff. Oh, sorry, I did not mean to do that. But of course, you now see the screen again. But the 2004 Ferraris reign supreme in qualifying. Ahead of Callum J. Spencer is Testmeister and Lord George. 4th is Sonic. 5th is Dougie. 6th is Kevin Jacobs. 7th is Nemesis. 8th is Ricardo. Good result there. You know, and we can see how slow that car is. 7 seconds off the Ferrari in qualifying. 9th is Death Says. 10th is Galactic Skull. And 11th is the G-Man. Who's, I just noticed he's got a bronze weight rating. So that's interesting. But I have now taken my few final gulps of water before we get underway in the second race, and the rain does look very, very threatening here. Certainly overcast conditions, something that you would expect in the UK. But we're now just waiting for the guys to load up on the grid and for those 5 lights to begin and then to go out. Indeed, here we go. We are 5 lights and go, go, go! And the drivers do not go, go, go at the start. Oh, someone spun off the start. There's been quite a bit of lag. That looked like it was Nemesis Racing in the background. But everyone is very, very clean through turn 1, at least from the top. And it looks like we have Lord George trying to launch it up the inside Testmeister. Oh, and Sonic has stuck his nose in there and has moved himself past Lord George. But the power of the 2004 Ferrari will get him past. But somehow we have Death Stairs up in P6. Looks like there's been some major contact between Kevin Jacobs and Nemesis Racing at the start. That is for sure. But Sonic has somehow kept himself ahead of Lord George here in P2. But now on the run down the Cops corner, he has the inside line, and that Ferrari will just fly past the Brawn. Oh, and Nemesis has been disqualified for parking in a dangerous location. What on earth has happened there? But we will focus now on the cars that are actually in the race. And P7, the G-Man has got himself past Galactic Skull there just before Maggots all runs himself very wide there coming out on the exit of Chapel and has lost the car. And oh dear, this is just comical stuff here as Galactic Skull has also gone in the grass and gone into the wall. And somehow Kevin Jacobs has also done the same. What is going on here? Keeping out the wall for crying out loud. Oh, and Kevin Jacobs now with those tyres absolutely cooked. Cannot keep it in a straight line, but Lord George certainly putting Testmeister under a lot of pressure here. Looking to perhaps make it a move, but not quite. Wasn't quite able to get the move done into Village. But now on the exit of the loop, just is gaining on Testmeister into Brooklands. Comes Lord George. And after being frustrated by Callum J. Spencer in race 1, just wasn't able to get close enough to the Welshman. He's going to be looking to get past that Italian as quickly as possible. But of course they are in the same car, so it's going to just be down to raw speed of the drivers. And we know both of these drivers are very capable. What a shot, as we see the Brawn there getting, oh, Sonic nearly losing it as well. That would have been the 4th driver we've seen in the wall coming out of Chapel. That would have been very extraordinary, and I think I would have just combusted. But Lord George now coming through Club corner. Certainly not as close as to Testameister as he was on the previous lap. It looks like his best opportunity has passed. And when that opportunity presents, you have to take it with full authority. And Lord George was not quite able to do that on the previous lap. I'm just sitting here and appreciating the beautiful sound of that car. Wow, that is tremendous. I miss the screaming engines, that is for sure. Don't get me wrong, I love the current cars that we have, but brought up with this noise. Oh, is Lord George trying to be very aggressive through Copse corner. Just runs a little bit wide and costs himself some time to test my star, but through Beckett's, it's very easy to make a mistake and to gain time. And Lord George has done that, but just through Chapel, as we see with so many drivers, has just lost out Testameister. Testameister compromised himself through Maggots and Beckett's to get the better exit, coming out through Chapel. Down the hangar straight. Some wise driving there by Testameister. As we now complete lap 3, on to lap 4. Callum J. Spencer sets fast lap of the race by about 3/10 over Lord George. The gap is just staying at about half a second to about 7/10 here between Testameister and Lord George. As we have the G-Man moving past Deathstead, who was in P6. Deathstead looking to try to send it up the inside. Again, through Village, I think that was. Yes, through Village. But just not quite able to get the job done. And as I was saying, the gap was staying at about 5 to 7/10. The gap is now second at the front. So Lord George, I don't know if he's made a slight mistake. I think he has, because Callum J. Spencer has also closed in on him. The gap is now a second between everyone at the front, with Sonic about half a second behind in the Brawn, which is a quick car, but because Silverstone is just such a high-speed track, you need a powerful engine. The Brawn has it, don't get me wrong, but just not quite to the extent of the 2003 Williams, which we are currently on the front wing of Callum J. Spencer's, and of course of the Ferraris. But Lord George catching up to Testameister after he made that mistake on the previous lap now. It doesn't look like we're going to have any rain in this race. Looks like it will stay dry, but very overcast for the remainder of this race. As Lord George very aggressive on the curbs on the inside of Brooklands. The gap once again is a second. It looks like Lord George is struggling out of that corner. That's where Testameister is able to pull away from him. That's where Callum J. Spencer now, more importantly, is managing to close in on him. But Callum quite clearly has a lot more understeer through Maggots and Beckett's. As Callum J. sorry, not Callum J. Spencer. So you suggested saying Callum J. Spencer. It looks like Kevin and Galactic are having a titanic battle at the back, which I will get on board now with. But it looks like it's already done, and Kevin Jacobs has moved himself up into 9th place. But somehow, Deathstairs, through just the lack of drivers on the grid tonight, and through Nemesis and Kevin Jacobs making a few mistakes in the 1998 McLaren, is finding himself in P7, so that's a very good result if he's able to get it for Deathstairs. But now Callum J. Spencer just heading down the Wellington Straight, closing that gap to Lord George. And of course this is the corner where Lord George has been struggling. Not so this time. Interesting, I wonder what was hindering him on the previous laps. Oh, what a view of the on that inside curb of Copse Corner. Now through Maggotts Beckett's and soon to be Chapel. Callum J. Spencer cutting the corner there, just trying to open up Chapel as much as he possibly can. Heading down the Hanger Straight. As we now have the top three cars within 2 seconds of each other. Nearly within 1.5. As Lord George really did close up on Testameister there. I don't think he'll quite have the run to make a move down into Village. Oh, he does go very deep on the brakes. But that only costs him time to Testameister. And allows Callum J. Spencer to close up ever so slightly. But now, in the battle for 4th place, we have Dougie Aframan closing up on Sonic. But I don't has the raw straight line speed between those two cars. As we've just seen at the bottom of the screen, Kevin Jacobs moves himself up pretty comfortably ahead of Ricardo F1. Of course, those two are in, well, two very different cars performance-wise. Of course, one of them is in the 1998 McLaren, and one of them is in the 2002 Ferrari. Looks like Dougie Aframan is very, very quick here behind Sonic, who does go wide coming out of the exit of the Copse. Is he going to try to make a move into Maggotts? Oh, he's nearly made a move into Maggotts. That would have been an absolutely ridiculous move if he made it around the outside of Maggotts. Then, of course, he would have had the inside line into Beckett's. But Dougie certainly larging loom in those mirrors of the brawn of Sonic. It's weird, the 2008 McLaren has such an awful rear end, but it looks like Dougie Aframan is doing a fantastic job of managing it in this Grand Prix. As the game just giving us some tremendous camera angles there. Once again, look at that beautiful view. All we can see is some bodywork flapping around. But looks like Kevin Jacobs has got himself up into 7th place ahead of Death Stairs. Oh, thought Dougie Aframan was just going to be close enough to send it down the inside of Brooklands. Now through Luffield's going to look for the switch back on Sonic. Oh yes, and he now has got the inside line for Copse Corner. He's got himself ahead of Sonic. 4P4, great move there by Dougie Aframan with the switchback coming through Luffield. Now he's going to try and have a very good Maggotts and Beckett's and exit to Chapel to try and extend that gap to Sonic, but that is not what has happened, as is now and is closing, goes for the inside line, and is Sonic going to be able to move on Dougie Aframan for P4, but Dougie holds it around the outside. Brilliant defending there by Dougie Aframan. Exactly what I'd do through that corner is you are not affected by the car on the inside. As we've got some yellow flags somewhere in Sector 3. Not entirely sure what that is for, but nonetheless, Dougie Aframan has found himself ahead of Sonic in P4, but I've got a feeling that the battle between these two is not quite over. Yes, indeed, behind in the slip train, these two engines are very similar in pace. Of course, only 1 year apart with the Mercedes engine. It's now going to be Sonic's turn to be putting under pressure, Dougie under pressure. Oh, he runs very, very wide and very deep in the Copse corner. Not entirely sure what was going on there. Just looked like he forgot to turn in, did Sonic. Dougie Afroman just able to take the speed through Chapel, and now Sonic in the slipstream. Once again, he pulls to the inside. Dougie Afroman's going to defend the outside line. Takes much more speed through the corner, and once again, brilliantly defends from Sonic. Well, that's almost an overtake at that point. Overtake Sonic around the side of Stowe corner. And I've got to, this might just repeat itself the next couple of laps, but Sonic's just taking it better, coming through into Village, just trying to look to set up a switchback, and then just to try and get the best run coming out of the loop, but just slightly affected. But he's already got the inside before the Wellington straight, as it looks like now Sonic will be able to move himself up ahead. He has the inside line in coming into Brooklands, and he has got that position back on Dougie Afroman, so moves himself up into P4. But I still think that we're going to see more battling between these two drivers, as we've got some yellow flags in Sector 3. I think that might just be a bit of a glitch, but we've got Kevin Jacobs behind, moving past the G-Man. Oh, and it looks like these two Ferraris are having a good battle here through Luffield. But I am expecting... no, I expect wrong. Kevin Jacobs flies away from the G-Man and promotes himself up into P6 after he had some contact with Nemesis at the start, I believe. Very disappointing for those two drivers. But Sonic... so now Dougie Afroman, my apologies, is now trying to look to close that gap to Sonic ahead of him. And he certainly closed quite a lot through Abbey, but wasn't quite close enough through Village, and now through the loop. Now on to the Wellington straight. One of the best. Sounded Kiwi for a second, but Dougie trying to dive it down the inside of Brooklands, not quite able to get it done. But now looking to go around the outside of Luffield, but Sonic with the inside line is going to have that done. The two are side by side now. Oh, never mind. Dougie Afroman has just completely just outpowered the Brawn, and is now moved himself up into P4 around the outside of Luffield, and then just was able to power past him down the old pit straight. As we've seemingly just got that random yellow flag in Sector 3 being thrown out. Oh, and Sonic trying to carry more speed through the corner has just gone completely off the track, as we disgustingly seen in IndyCar this morning. Was it through turn 19? The cars were just going an absolute mile off circuit, and it was just causing collisions. In the end, I think it was Felix Rosenquist fell victim to that. But Sonic, trying to get the run through the loop, has just gone on the grass, and that will be what she wrote for that battle for P4. Just got too good of a run coming out of the Village corner. Try to go side by side, try to get a nice switchback through the loop onto the Wellington straight, but he just got on the grass. And that means that he will stay in P5 unless something crazy happens in front. But Callum Joe Spencer, closer than ever before to Lord George. I thought he was going to send it there into Vale through club corner though. He's very quick and now sets fast lap the race, and he is close enough here through Abbey. Has he got to make a move down the inside into Village? Is Callum J. Spencer? Yes indeed he does. It makes the stick on Lord George, does he? There's some contact between the two as we now head onto the Wellington Straight, with Lord George right up the rear end of Callum J. Spencer, but that 2003 Williams can actually match the Ferrari. Is Lord George going to send it up the inside of Brooklands? Yes, he is indeed, and that looks like he's made the move stick on Callum J. Spencer, but Callum J. Spencer is going to look for a switch back through Luffield, and that is exactly what he's done. He's now right up the rear end of that Ferrari, and he looks like he's going to try and get the inside line for Copse Corner. And that's exactly what he's done. He's got the inside line. Oh, and the side-by-side through Copse. This is incredible racing between Lord George and Callum J. Spencer. But Lord George has managed to find himself ahead just before Maggots All, who cuts the corner very badly indeed. And now through Chapel, Callum J. Spencer just setting him up to get a very good run. Oh, and Lord George hits the grass and goes flying off the track. And that is going to be Callum J. Spencer, who takes second place ahead of Lord George. Lord George just making a mistake there, coming out of Chapel, getting on the grass. I think he would have been in some trouble from Callum J. Spencer down the straight anyway. But it's Testemeister who, in dominant fashion, wins race 2, sets fastest lap on the race, last lap of the Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel, who Callum J. Spencer takes home second place after a last lap move on a Lord George. And then, gee whiz, we've got this battle between Sonic and Dougie Afroman once again. Oh, that is not. There's a lapped car. Oopsie. It's going to be Dougie Afroman, who valiantly held off Sonic, or overtook, and then defended brilliantly from Sonic. Finishes in P4. Brilliant set of results there by Dougie Afroman. P5 for Sonic. It's going to be P6 for Kevin Jacobs in that Ferrari. Solid result after the lap 1 contact with some other drivers. And for the G-Man in that 2004 Ferrari, it seemed as if he just didn't capitalise on how quick that car was today. Finishes in P7. And Ricciardo once again is going to claim 8th place in the 1998 McLaren. Jesus. That car sounds an absolute handful to manage, and I'm sure that Gaming Now is very glad that that race is over. But he has not taken first place, that is for sure. Oh, there you go. It was Kevin Jacobs who had the contact with Nemesis at the start. I knew the contact was between them. It was just Kevin Jacobs who made the contact coming off the line with Nemesis, as he apologises in chat saying, "I'm so sorry, Nemesis. I took my traction control off to keep up with you, and at the start I lost it." So a costly error there by Kevin Jacobs, who made contact with Nemesis, who ended up getting disqualified. He was probably just like, "Are you kidding me? I've used 2002 Ferrari and I've been hit off the line." But it's Testemeister with a brilliant race, taking victory here in Silverstone in race 2 of round 4 of the championship. Second is Callum J. Spencer, who of course won race 1 ahead of Lord George. And of course Lord George and Callum J. Spencer had a titanic battle on the last lap of the Grand Prix for P2, and it was Callum J. Spencer who come out on top. Dougie Afroman finishes P4. Sonic finishes P5. Kevin Jacobs is in 6th. I'm getting up the calendar to see which race is next in the championship. It's going to be the Hungaroring next. So I'm sure we will be seeing a lot of Red Bulls coming up in the next race, but I'll just finish off reading the order. Sonic in 5th, Kevin Jacobs in 6th, the G-Man in 7th, 8th is Ricardo, 9th is Deathsteads, 10th is Galactic Skull, and 11th is Nemesis Racing. As Gaming Now says in the chat, 8th in a C2 1998 McLaren, question mark, Tactical Masterclass Lamau. Indeed, very good use of that bogey car today, where there are not quite as many drivers on the grid. And indeed, that was fantastic. Now we've got Toby saying, the G-Man murdered me into turn 1. Luckily I had the pace to catch and pass Death Stairs. Indeed, once again you showed just how quick you are, even in a car which is so hard to see. See how quick you are. And thanks, mate, for the compliment there. And that is going to be indeed the end of the stream here for round 4 at Silverstone for the Nemesis Online Racing League Championship. And of course we will see you again next week for this league. But you will once again, if you tune in to my stream, you'll see me tomorrow. Just around about this time. Yep, at this time exactly. Oh dear. I hear the chat is exploding currently. Some good reading to come. Oh, I love it. I love when the chat kicks off. But that'll be it for tonight. Thanks for everyone for joining, and of course, thanks to the drivers for putting on a great of racing throughout. So, there's been me, Niblo331, and I'll see you later.